Hey, thanks for joining Rue 857. Today we're going to talk about watercolor paper. So if you're new to watercolor, if you have questions about what is hot press, what is cold press, what is this paper, that paper, and even some brands of paper, stay with me in just a second. We're going to talk about a whole stack I have here on my desk. So, frustrated going to the art store and saying, what am I supposed to buy? I think this will help you. Hey, I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo because I paint roosters. But the other thing I do is I try to help people move forward through this introduction and just in some simple watercolor painting. I've been doing that for the last few years of my life. And so today we're going to talk about watercolor paper. Let me show you what my desk looks like. It looks like a stack of watercolor paper. There it is right there. I've got blocks, I've got pads, I've got hot press, cold press, mixed media, drawing paper. I've got all sorts of kinds of paper, and so we're just going to go through them here in just a second. Get your notepad, get something to write down on, and I will take you through a little bit. I'll even talk about a little bit of brands. I won't tell you this brand's better than the other, except I'll tell you that I have some favorites. Simple as that. All right. So let's first start with hot press and cold press. Okay. So what is hot press paper? You go to the art store and you go, I don't know what I'm supposed to paint on. However, I know I really can't paint on copy paper, even if it's 20 pound or 30 pound or 40 pound. And what all is that anyway? And what's GSM mean? And what's the poundage? And what's rag cotton or acid free or, all those things are enough to confuse anybody. All right, here we go. Here's some real simple things that you need to know. If you're painting regular watercolor work, you're probably going to want to stay in the area of 140 pound. Now, that doesn't mean it weighs 140 pounds. And yes, some people believe that, but it's the thickness or the weight of the paper. It's different in watercolor paper than it is if you're looking at 120 pound cardstock, but it's going to be basically thick. And this is on a block. I'm going to explain that in a minute. So think about this. Cold pressed paper. What's the best way versus hot press? Now that you know you're looking for something 140 pounds, and the person is going to ask, do you want cold press or hot press? And you're going like, I don't know. I wear these white pinpoint shirts to paint in. It's crazy, but I like painting in a white pinpoint shirt. Do I splatter them up? Yeah, but they're not outrageously expensive shirts. And after about 6 or 8 weeks of painting, and cleaning it and washing it, I'll just make a shop rag out of it and I'll go and find some more. So it's just kind of fun. I like holding up a piece of painting against a white shirt, but sometimes I don't send these to the cleaners, but when I used to send them to the cleaners, they come back like this one, and they are pressed really smooth and slick. That's hot press. But if it's all wrinkled up like this, it's more like cold press. So the paper itself has these little undulations in it, and you really can't see them on my camera, but trust me, they're there. I can hear them, and also they are wonderful at grabbing the pigment on those different facets and causing it to be really bright. And water responds differently on this paper than it does on hot press. This is Kilimanjaro 140 pound bright white cold press 100% rag cotton paper. This is Fabriano paper made in Italy, and it is smooth. Only listen, can't hardly hear that. It's slick like the cuff that's been starched. Watercolor stays a little wetter on the surface, bleeds in a little slower, and it'll move around a little more on you. My daughter is a floral painter. She loves painting flowers on hot press. I like cold press. This is a watercolor pad. Take a look. I just can pick this piece up and flip it off and move on to the next piece. That's a pad. This is a watercolor block. It's glued down all the way around except one little spot right here at the top. And so what I have to do is I have to either take a pocket knife or this tool, something like a nail file will work great, slip it in, and then go around the piece of paper. Why is it blocked down? because some people have to tape their watercolor paper around if they paint a lot of wet on wet. This case, it stays blocked down for you and it doesn't wrinkle up and crinkle as much. Yes, you get too much water on the paper and it's going to look like maybe a sponge. It'll frame flat sometimes unless you soak it so much that it just gets crinkled and it's done in for. Cold press, hot press, okay? This is cold press, but it's made by Fluid watercolor paper. I really like their paper, as a matter of fact. This is a block also. This is Fluid paper. That's a block, and it's Fluid 100, so it's cotton. I love painting on cold press cotton paper. All right. This is a watercolor block made from Canson. When I first started painting watercolor, I painted on a lot of what I'd call big box store paper. Strathmore, Canson. Canson makes, though, some high-end paper, but most of the stuff you get at a Michael's or even a Walmart store, you're going to get the lower end. It's going to be cold press at a block, but it's not going to be as undulated or as bold as the paper I just showed you that you might get at a professional art store, okay? I do paint on some mixed media paper. It's slick as glass, and sometimes it has vellum in it. In fact, this one has a vellum surface. So this is a drawing paper. I love carrying this in my vest pocket when I'm out painting. It's 80-pound drawing paper. It's very thin, but it holds the water really well. And I like doing little quick sketches on it, and I like giving them away at restaurants. So I love paper like that. This is Arches paper. It's a block. It's pretty serious paper. It costs quite a bit, and it is quite rough, and it grips the color very much. And it's taken me a while to get used to painting on that. Once you get better, grade up to some better papers. This is watercolor Canson, and it's called mixed media or just watercolor paper, 140 pound, not as rough as the Kilimanjaro I showed you. 1264 Fabriano, Bristol grain. Ooh, it's in between hot and cold press. So what I'm showing you all this, by the way, is a pad, and I'm about to run out of time because this is only 8 minutes and 57 seconds. Remember, hot, cold, 140 pound. When I'm in this is a pad, by the way. It just flips over like this. Loose paper if you like to tape it down. Something else I do with my paper, though, is I never really tape them all the way down solid unless I can move the under part too, because I like to turn them like this. It's easier for me to sketch this way than it is this way on the paper. This is a pad of Kilimanjaro pad that I turn, and I love painting on this kind of paper. But I'll tell you this, when I'm at an Italian restaurant, I love painting right on the paper that's on the table and ripping off a piece and signing it and giving it away to the maitre d' or someone who waited on us. And it's all kinds of fun things you can do. I hope this has been a little bit of a help. Hot press, cold press. If you really want to get into some good watercolor painting, paint on 140 pound. Don't get anything below that unless you're onto some drawing paper. If you're working with a travel journal, try to get one in 140 pound, or try to get something that's 90 pounds and above that will handle wet media. Okay, there's a lot to this, and so I've rushed through it, but you're welcome to email me. Subscribe to this channel if you want to know more about watercolor painting. Rue 857, you can just hashtag it. Hashtag Rue 857 will get you right here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel today. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll keep throwing out some small tips for you on watercolor. Thanks for being a part, and I'll see you next time. About time for the bell to go off. Biddy-dee. There it is.